It's time to do the final shaping of the cabriole leg. The carving's done. I've thinned this down to its nominal width, which is 1 5/8. And looking down on the top of the cabriole, here's one that I've already done the shaping. As you can see, it narrows gradually and to a neck, smallest dimension here in this area, and it's very much rounded over on the top surface here, more flat up here at the top where the carving is, but rounded over corners. And then there's a cutting in to show the pad, the foot pad here. And those are the kinds of shaping that needs to be done on this rough leg at this point. In SketchUp, I have made a template to show the tapering size. And the way I've done this, in SketchUp I captured this sloping front face, or top face, this sloping top face, and then flattened it out all in one plane so that it is a length that represents the real length of the curved surface. So I can use that template then to wrap it around and pencil in the tapering size, which I've already done here. You can hopefully you can see these pencil lines that have been marked in here. So most of that shaping will be done with hand tools, but I'll knock off some of the bigger pieces here, just roughing it out in the bandsaw. I've just finished rough bandsawing out this tapered shape looking down on the top surface. In the bandsaw, I've got a big 1-inch wide blade in there, so I just held it perpendicular as it will stand in the table, and I cut in at 3/8 inch spacing toward the line. I stayed away from the line at least a 1/16 of an inch. It's almost an 1/8 of an inch up here. And then I did that on both sides, cutting in and then just slicing it out, holding it in the bandsaw flat on its foot so that it is vertical this way. Because that's what this shape is. It's a taper that's based on a taper in the drawing that is vertical. Then I was also able to just knock off these corners of the toe to minimize the hand work there. So now I'm ready to work this with mostly files and get closer to that line with some very rough files. I'll use several different files to do that. And the other thing is that this is a little bit difficult to hold while doing the filing. Sometimes I just capture it between stops like this, and then I can work the file. Now this is a number 50. I think I have a 49 here, Nicholson, and I'll just rough this down. This is the roughest file that I have. 50 is next rough. So I'll flip over to 50 when I get somewhat close to the line. That's working well. Then I can move to a finer file. This is a Swiss Gros, I believe. And knock off some of the file marks, deep file marks with this file. So I can work this part requires the other part of the file, the other side of the file, the coved file, and I'll work down to make sure that the bandsaw, those cut-in bandsaw cuts are removed. This is the number 49. I probably can, let's see if I can work this. No, that's going to slip on me. It is awkward. I can use the hold fast, but it's faster just to hold it in my hand and work this. Let me try the 50 here. Actually, the 50 is doing more work than the 49. Okay, I'm down to the line there. Switch to coved bit. Okay. Now I left more to take off by hand up here. But you get the idea of how I'm working this, and just quite a bit of filing, and then there'll be a rounding with the files, and eventually I'll go to a scraper blade to just knock out all the file marks. That'll be the last step. The tapering is pretty much complete, roughed out with files, but I haven't done the rounding on the corners and the rounding, particularly in this area. The drawing shows a section at this area of the leg, and also a section up here. So where the carving is, it's basically square with some rounded edges at the four corners. But down here in this portion, the top surface is completely rounded over, about a ½ inch down. So on the template, these section locations are located, and so I've marked this location here with pencil, and I've marked about a ½ inch down here. So what I will do is with the rough file, I think I'll use, okay, this is the 49. I'll just start knocking this over until I get down to this ½ inch mark, and also all the way across, so that it's a rounding all the way over the top surface. And that's about as much as I'll do on that edge. Then also do the same thing I still have a little bit of a flat here that I need to get rid of. So that's close enough for the rough. Now I need to move down this whole area all the way to the front is all rounded over, as you can see in this. So from this point down, it's all rounded over, and then up here at the top, they're just rounded corners, and that rounded corner kind of blends into the carving area, the inset area of the carving. So that'll require some carving tool touch-up on that corner there. Let me blend this in a little bit. Right in this transition. Be a little bit careful there. That rough file really takes off that corner pretty rapidly. Okay, now I'm just going to work down to the all the way down here and get this all flattened out. think you get the idea of the way this goes. I'm going to start mounting this underneath the hold fast to work it a little bit better with both hands. I'm working this toe end of the leg and getting it rounded over and that works pretty well in the vise there. Eliminate all the flat up here on the top surface. That's pretty good for rough. Then I'll use the finer file to get those deeper rasp cuts out of it. May have to get my file cleaner here, it's getting loaded up. This file obviously makes marks as well, but they're not as deep, and I can get them out nicely with a scraper blade. Next step will be to kind of expose this foot area, this pad. So I need to strike a pencil line and do some carving in here to expose that foot area. It's interesting that the original piece in England, the depth of this pad is about 1/4 of an inch here at the back end, but at the front end it's 3/8 of an inch. So there's a slight incline to that pad. So I've marked both these locations, and the next step will be to do some carving in that area. I'll reposition the camera for that. I will use a V tool to define this foot pad here, and I'll hold it so that this side of the V tool is perpendicular, and then align that perpendicular side of the V tool to the pencil line. So I'm cutting to the right of the pencil line, which is the waist side. I'd like to have a defined perpendicular edge. Now I'm going to have to turn around and come backwards on that part of the pad. But I can come down here with a little knife. I can also maybe define that top edge of the pad. Alright. Okay, let me come down the other direction. The V tool. You could also just use a chisel to do this separation. Now with this carving tool, I'm going to come in actually might be better to use a different carving tool since I'm running into this holdfast here, the gooseneck shape. Just come in there to the knife cut. And maybe I'll make that shoulder a little bit more than a 1/16 deep. That's enough to have it stand out. Could also use a chisel to, instead of this knife, to create this straight cut. Pull that chip out of there. Slice that again a little bit deeper. Now it's coming out a little bit better. Okay, I'll work that a little bit more, but I think I want to go to the other side and get that roughed out. Okay. And I'll be working in the opposite direction with this. And making sure I'm going on the waist side of that pencil line and vertical with my V tool on the left Okay. And then coming downhill, yeah. Let me see how this, just use a chisel to come down with that perpendicular shoulder. And then come in and take some chips. I forgot to move the camera. So I guess most of that was not in view of the camera. I've used the V tool to channel this out. Now I'm just defining that vertical edge here. Pretty much got this roughed out in shape with the rough files. I've been picking up smaller tools, smaller files to refine it a little bit. And take out some of the bigger, deeper scratches. And it's looking pretty good. So I'm going to move on to the scraper blade to really smooth this out. So you can, hopefully you can see the file marks there, and they just come out so easily with the scraper blade. I'm going downhill here, which is, you have to watch the direction while you're using the scraper blade. And that really gives it a nice surface then on which to sand. There won't be that much sanding, so the sanding doesn't have to get down to the file marks. That's the main thing. Those are hard to get out with sandpaper. This really speeds up the process. So the whole surface will be scraped, and sometimes I have to change the lighting and direction and so on to make sure I'm seeing all the file marks that's got to come out. Scraper blade is nice also because I can get that blade right down here in the throat here. Smooth that out. Even the transition a little bit. Here's some deep marks. So I'm pulling this time because I'm coming downhill with the grain. Sometimes you push with this thing and sometimes you pull. The wood starts to shine a little bit, which is nice. Oops. See which way is better to go here. I think that I may have to push that. Also, the nice thing with using the scraper is you can hold it with one hand and the other hand's free to position the leg where you want it, where you want to work it. You don't have to waste time clamping and moving the clamps. So up in here, I need to get down there. Okay, do I pull or I gotta push? I'm not sure. I guess pushing works best. These corners also scraped out. Get the file marks out. Now I gotta be really careful around this carving. If I slip and run into the carving, it can knock off those little leaflets. Whew, this is a mess here. But that smooths it out really fast. Yeah, here as well. Don't have to worry too much about the underside here. Nobody's going to see that, but I'll do a little work. This will do better going downhill, so I'll pull it. It's going to be easier. Try another edge on here. New edge. Gets rid of most of the deep file marks here. Now this little foot pad, I may have to, I'd probably be better off, well, it's working. Yeah, that works. See if I can do that here. And I gotta go downhill on this. Okay, so there'll be some sanding work, and that'll be it.